The Public Enterprises Department says it's in no position to give an update on its deal with the Takatso consortium. Presenting to the Standing Committee on Public Accounts today, the department said the SAA deal is still on, but because it's in a closed period, no status update can be given. This was not taken well by SCOPA, as the airline remains a state-owned entity. eNCA's Heidi Giokos has more.
Public Enterprises announced almost 18 months ago that it had found a strategic equity partner for SAA, but since then not much has happened. SCOPA interrogated the department today on where the deal is, especially after Gordhan resigned from the Takatso board. The Public Enterprises Minister says nothing can be said about the deal.
Whilst this is a government entity currently, it operates within a competitive industry. And that industry has become even more competitive now, subsequent to the collapse of a key player within the aviation industry. And in such an environment, you have players with reasonably strong elbows and weak elbows, who will attempt to gain advantage of one kind or another in such a commercial environment, as any competitor would do in the retail industry, in the IT industry, or whatever the case might be. And so, when we talk about the closed period, it is that context which must be kept in mind.
Despite much uncertainty, it seems as though the deal is still on.
As the Minister has indicated, the transaction is not yet concluded. It is a live transaction that is in progress and has not been finalized. This is what we call in commercial terms a closed period. That's where the transaction is at this stage. What is a closed period? A closed period is where the final details of the transaction cannot be communicated publicly, as the deal is at the commercially sensitive stage. Even in the Cape Town High Court matter between Toto, the documents have been acknowledged to be disclosed on the confidentiality regime. It's because it is where the stage where the transaction is, which is called a closed period. But once the transaction is finalized and the deal has become unconditional, the final details of this deal can be shared with Parliament and also the people of South Africa.
It seems certain elements of the deal are not acceptable to Takatso.
It is completely unacceptable. This deal has been in the pipeline for the better part of the past 18 months, and its genesis was that once the government had decided that after the business rescue process, SAA needed to survive in one form or another, they then took the decision that they needed a strategic equity partner to be part of this. The problem started from that point in time, in that the process leading up to the selection of Takatso Consortium as a preferred equity partner was not very clear. It was not as transparent as people would have expected it to be. And at that point in time, when the announcement was made, it was quite clear that Takatso still had to do a due diligence.
SAA could also not detail how its operations are being funded, but the airline says it's managing its finances and does not need to ask for another bailout. The national carrier's financials will be audited for the first time by the Auditor General. SAA has not submitted its financial statements for years. Heidi Giokos in Johannesburg.